All right, let's get this party started, baby. Welcome to Metallica Podcast. This is episode 444, and we're going to be doing the deep dive into the Thorn Within. People voted for it over on Patreon. More people wanted that than the others. I'm going to do them all, but I'm excited to do one of these deeper ones. Thorn Within's always been one of my favorite deep cuts. In fact, I think if you go, for you Alpha Metallica fans over there, I think one of the last episodes I did Inamorata with Tom Quay, hello, but I did Thorn Within. And if I recall, he doesn't like the song, but maybe he'll listen to this episode and be proven wrong. Greetings from Nashville, Tennessee. We're still dealing with this ice storm, dude. There's still tens and tens and tens of thousands of people around here without power. So it's been about 8 days. Some people are in their homes tonight, and it's 30 degrees, and they're cold. They've got children who are cold. They got pets who are cold. So, but I am just sending out love to anyone who's struggling out there. I hope everyone's power comes on soon. Thankfully, everyone in my neck of the woods is okay. So, okay. Well, if you're joining us for the first time, All Metallica Podcast, kind of a pop culture music podcast as well. I'm a professional musician. I live in Nashville. And this Load box set's got me all excited. And I've really been enjoying camping out. Just wait till you guys see what happens when Reload comes out. This is nothing compared to what's going to happen when Reload comes out. I've been doing some fun stuff with video, been making more videos. So there's a full video of the Thorn Within, a guitar cover that's over on Patreon right now. And that's just a way for you to support the show. If you dig the show, I'm going to be putting some extra content over there, having fun. Going to be doing some Zoom hangs on every stem that I make from these deep dives into the Load box set. Whether it's the stems from the actual recordings and then everything I record and all the patches that I use through my Line 6 Helix system. All of that's available for free on the Patreon. My edits of 72 Seasons and Saint Anger, all there. I think at the timing of the recording of this episode, there will be a full listen through of the new Megadeth album with commentary. Wow. And maybe some rants and raves that I do a lot of ranting and raving on the podcast. I know some of you can hardly believe that I end up taking out later because I'm like, but I will be putting all of that on Patreon. So let's get into some news here. Why not a little soundbite for news? Who knows? Do we have one here? Surely we have one of these.
Ooh, yeah!
New Doc Marten collaboration with Metallica. This is from Rolling Stone. You know, we know the boys like to collaborate. One of my favorites was those Nixon watches. I got a couple of those. I got the Kill 'Em All one, and I got just the plain black one. And I wear them all the time. I love them. I'm not wearing them now, but this is a new collab. And I got to say, this Rolling Stone interview, Stasia Datskovska, she's got a lot of puns in here. Headline reads, "Nothing else matters but this Doc Martens Metallica collab. Signal your metalhead sensibilities in style with the new Metallica boots and Oxfords." You know, I got to imagine that when the boys were poor and eating, what do they call the mustard sandwich, which was mustard on your hand, wearing the bullet belt, and then maybe loading a gun with the bullets from their bullet belt to kill other crackhead metalheads. I gotta imagine that they would not have loved the signal your metalhead sensibilities in style with the new metal boots and Oxfords. Doc Martens has turned its iconic 1460 boots and 1461 Oxfords into something that every card-carrying member of the Metallica fan club needs on their feet this season. Based on how quickly similarly buzzy Doc Martens collaborations have sold out in the past, it's safe to say nothing else matters but snagging the drop and doing it now. Those who know, sorry. I mean, I'm thinking a younger person wrote this article. Sorry, not sorry. The two-shoe release for men and women, which went live on Thursday, features the 1460 Metallica 8-eye smooth leather boot for $200, by the way. I saw that there was quite a bit of pushback on that on their socials about the expense of this. Reinterpreting an already existing silhouette that has been spotted on everyone from Gwen Stefani to Halsey. Oh boy, get that bullet belt ready. You know, when the boys said no life till leather, we're going to kick some ass tonight, I think they were talking about Gwen Stefani and Halsey, who I love, by the way. Big Halsey fan, big Gwen Stefani fan. The fresh limited edition stepper is taken to new heights almost as high as you feel during thrash metal concerts by way of artwork sourced from Metallica's Damaged Justice tour. That being said, none of the motifs here exude a sense of calm. Instead, The energy's dialed all the way up with skulls, bones, and the band's logo swathed in red across the toe. People have also been criticizing this because the Metallica is like if you're wearing the boot and looking down, you can read the Metallica. It's not outward facing, so that you're advertising to the world that you're a Metallica fan. But these are the Doc Martens 1460 Metallica 8-eye smooth leather boot. $200. The 1460 Metallica boot also benefits from special touches like a metal M stud at the heel, dog tags for showing off your allegiance to the world of metal, as well as extra laces whose piece de resistance is the phrase, boredom comes from a boring mind. The shoe retains all the qualities that make it a loved and trusted favorite, including a high traction sole for standing in the mosh pit or making your way across city streets, you choose, an airwear heel loop for sliding it on with ease, and a full grain leather composition whose subtle texture is designed to imitate an art canvas. Prefer to go off to Never Neverland? This is really in the article. While wearing something more low pro, Doc Martens and Metallica have your back thanks to the 1461 Metallica 3-eye smooth leather shoe, 180 bones, that skips the latter's damage justice tour in favor of art from the earlier damaging performances. The exact lettering used by the band to promote its 1986 shows makes itself at home next to depictions of yellow and orange bones. You'll find studs, dog tags, and exclusive laces upon unboxing this purchase, too. Proceeding to relish in the Oxford's durability, comfort, and attractive welt stitching. Okay, I mean, I used to wear Doc Martens in high school. I also wore a Marilyn Manson shirt and a Rage Against the Machine Mechanics shirt. I don't know who these are for the $200, but I hope whoever digs them, buys them, and loves them and wears them forever. All right. Oh boy, next we do have more Mustaine stuff. We have more Mustaine stuff to talk about. And we're going to get into it. We're going to get into this shit because he finds a way to annoy me almost every day of my life. And this time, it's a bit of old news, but because he's out promoting his new album, of course, the most interesting thing about his new album is that he covered a Metallica song. We talked about that last week. But he's resurfaced talking about the whole No Life Till Leather demo not getting pushed through and getting the box set treatment. We've been getting all the box sets since 2016. They did release No Life Till Leather on Record Store Day as a cassette reissue. But famously, there was going to be like a huge box set starting with No Life Till Leather that Dave got all gummed up over publishing issues, over songwriting credits. All right. In a new interview with Classic Rock Magazine, Megadeth leader Dave Mustaine explained in more detail why the previously planned expanded version of Metallica's 1982 demo tape, No Life Till Leather, has yet to see the light of day. By the way, this is our friends at blabbermouth.net. According to Mustaine, the expanded version of No Life Till Leather is unlikely to arrive anytime soon. Now, this is Dave speaking. I wrote all the music on Phantom Lord, all the music on Metal Militia, all the music on Jump in the Fire, and the Mechanics, Mustaine told Classic Rock. And I wrote the lyrics for Jump in the Fire and the Mechanics. So do the math. If I wrote the music and James wrote the lyrics, then the credit is 50% me, 50% James. Well, that's not what went down when I left. James and Lars figured out that they were going to give Lars some percentage of the songs he didn't write anything on, and that happened on all 4 songs. This was a bone of contention for me going forward with Metallica on anything because, it just isn't fair, Dave continued. You guys got more money than God. Why do you have to take my money? Oh, so James called me up, Mustaine added, and he says, hey, man, we want to release this No Life Till Leather thing, and we want to get all this publishing stuff straightened out. And, we really don't remember what went down. And I said, well, that's good, because I do. I remember what went down, and I can help with that. And then the conversation took a turn. James said, well, that's not the way that we remember it. And I went, well, James, honestly, there's 3 ways to look at this. There's your way, my way, and the truth, which is some combination of the two. So usually when people invoke that metaphor, it's not one of the people making the argument. They think they're telling the truth. He kind of fucked that up. And he says it's some version of both. Well, then why is he claiming he's right? Which part of it are you wrong about, Dave? Or do you just not understand the metaphor? It's not a metaphor. It's a saying, an adage. Or do you just not understand the adage? And that was the end of the conversation. He took offense to that and we hung up, and I don't remember speaking to him since then. I mean, I get it. Songwriting credit is important. But here's what I don't understand about it. All of these songs are on Kill 'Em All. The songs he's upset about are on Kill 'Em All, and the writing credits are the writing credits. So if it got worked out for Kill 'Em All, why didn't it get worked out for No Life Till Leather? What's the difference? Is he saying that because it was the demo, it was before they made Kill 'Em All, maybe he brought Jump into the Fire to the band? But I just don't understand why whatever arrangement they had for Kill 'Em All should apply to these songs. Or maybe he's saying because the mechanics, it's still the mechanics on the No Life Till Leather demo. And he's like, fuck that. That's me and James. But we all know the deal. Lars gets writing credit. The only song he does not have writing credit on is Motor Breath. So he gets credit for arranging, for helping arrange. He's in the room, he facilitates. They decided that that's worth a writing credit. That's unconventional, but that's what they decided. This might even be before that arrangement because there's only one credit for Motor Breath. So why did, obviously, he was okay not being credited on that. Anyway, Dave Mustaine hates Lars. And I think Lars probably hates Dave Mustaine, even though you rarely find him say anything bad about Dave Mustaine. But Dave Mustaine hates Lars, and he's like, I'm not giving this motherfucker credit. Mustaine previously discussed the proposed expanded edition of Not the Leather. Oddly enough, that was one of the last conversations I ever had with Hetfield because we were talking about getting back together and doing a project. Something had come up about the publishing discrepancy that we've been arguing about for years and years, and I told James, I'll do it, but we've got to get this sorted out. He said, sure. So I said, these two songs, you and me split 50-50. Lars did not write on this song. You know that. I don't know why you gave him percentages, but I'm not doing it. I'm not going to sign another deal that's going to confirm that because I never agreed to it. So maybe he's just saying, I got burned by the Kill 'Em All deal, and I'm not going to do it again. All right, fair enough. James said, well, Lars has a different recollection of that. I said, that's fine. That's his side of the story, my side, and the truth somewhere. That blew his mind, and we haven't talked since. What probably blew his mind is that you're gumming it all up over this bullshit. I mean, to me, a pretty fair compromise seems to be, because James does not care, I don't think, about the publishing for these 7 or 8 songs on No Life Till Leather. And maybe they came up with this, I don't know. But just, if I were Dave Mustaine, I would say have Lars take his 25% or 33%, whatever. I want 50%. You take your 50% and you split it with Lars. Give him 25. There we go. Maybe they tried that. Mustaine added, I really was trying to be friendly with him. He told me that the last 3 projects they did bombed and they wanted to go back and use all the stuff that I was on. I said, sure. And as soon as I said that 3 stories bit, man, it was over. How about him mentioning that bomb stuff? So what is he talking about? He's pre-2016. He's talking about the Through the Never film that never recouped its budget. He's talking about the Orion and Plus More festival, the 2 that they put on that were unsuccessful. And he's talking about, I'm guessing, Lulu, the ill-fated project with the great Lou Reed. Not a great album, but Lou Reed, fantastic. But that's a pretty fucked up thing to say in the press. But let's talk about, so he says, why do they take my money? They have more money than God. I think Dave Mustaine's made quite a bit of money from them. And they've done things they didn't have to do. All right, here are his writing credits. We know about all 6, right? Kill 'Em All, 4 Horsemen, Jump in the Fire, Phantom Lord, Metal Militia, on Ride the Lightning, and Call of Cthulhu. Kill 'Em All sold between 5 and 9 million copies worldwide. Ride the Lightning sold 12 million copies. So you're looking at 20 million worth of record sales that he's got 6 co-writes on. That's pretty serious money. That's no joke. Live Shit, Binge, and Purge, the 4 Horsemen's on that, 2 million copies sold. S&M, Call of Cthulhu, 8 million copies sold. 4 Horsemen, Ride the Lightning, Jump in the Fire, and Metal Militia are on the Hardwired Deluxe. And then, of course, you've got the Kill 'Em All Remaster, 2016, the Kill 'Em All Box Set, 2016. S&M 2, you get Call of Cthulhu again. And then you have performance royalties for all these, all right? So 4 Horsemen's been performed 550 times, Jump in the Fire, 97, Phantom Lord, 171, Metal Militia, 94, Ride the Lightning, 423, Call of Cthulhu, 115. I put this through the old Chat GPT, and that's always 100% accurate, but let's just assume this is conservative, okay? This is saying that it kind of conservatively adds up a lot of the stuff we're talking about. Publishing, records sold, performance rights, PROs. Not to mention, co-writing these songs has import to his brand, his value, his credibility in Megadeth, coming from Metallica, having written the Four Horsemen. That continues to open doors. So Kill 'Em All, the 4 co-writes on Kill 'Em All is generated in between $2.5 and $4.5 million. Ride the Lightning and Call of Cthulhu, somewhere that says for Ride Lightning the song, 500,000 to $1 million, and Call of Cthulhu 300,000, 700,000. Total revenue, and again conservatively, $3.5 million to $6.5 million from those 6 songs, which is no joke. Now, that's not a lot compared to what's James's net worth, like 500 million. The interesting thing is, if you compare, so I went and I said to ChatGPT, what are Megadeth's most popular 6 songs? Let's compare those to his 6 co-writes. So his most popular 6 songs are Holy Wars, The Punishment Due, Symphony of Destruction, Peace Cell, Sweating Bullets, Hangar 18, and Tornado of Souls. And those songs have made him $3 to $5 million, at least when it comes to the performance royalties. So then I kind of added it all up, the streaming and digital, compounding all of that, performance royalties. He obviously is going to earn more with his own music because he owns more of it. So he's getting less volume, but he has more ownership. Grand total, publishing only, conservative, this is what ChatGPT says, is that lifetime Mustaine earnings from those Metallica 6 songs, $3 to $6 million. From Megadeth's top 6 songs, not their whole catalog, just their top 6, $7 to $10 million. So he's doing fine. They've put several $1 million in his pocket. And look at all the grief, too, that he's caused them. Lars even mentions it in this article. Ulrich did not want to get into the details of the exact issues. This is an interview he gave to Metal Forces in 2016. Some unexpected difficulties on the legal side prevented the No Life to Leather box set and our vision for how we were going to kick this whole reissue series off. And now we're on Load, dude. It's been 10 years. It's been 87 years. We spent some time doing that dance, but then James and I decided it was not worth getting bogged down in all the unpleasantries because this was supposed to be a celebration and not end up being a tug of war. So we thought, you know what? F it, we'll just move on to Kill 'Em All. Ulrich did not want to get into the details of the exact issues that were preventing the demo tape from being released. He says it's a little more complicated than that. There's no reason to go deeper into it. It was just something that we didn't expect. What does that mean? Because Lars is in an interesting position with that too. He's not going to, after all these years, say, you're right, I had nothing to do with that song. He's not going to do that. You should have figured that out before you agreed to the money you made off Kill 'Em All, Dave. Back in November 2017, Mustaine tweeted that he was contacted by Hetfield 2 years earlier about officially releasing it. But he said the talks broke down because Lars wanted credit on 2 songs that I wrote every note and word to. I have texts. I passed. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I've still yet to find a story that he comes out looking like a reasonable person. But, I mean, I get it. If you think you wrote them, you think you wrote them. You chose the wrong hill to die on, dude. You chose the wrong hill to die on. They're just going to go, oh, well, we just won't put out the cassette tape demo. You win, dude. You always do. All right, last in the news. We're done with that. Okay, so this is a little adjacent. The Deftones sold their publishing rights to Warner Music. And I posted on the socials that I retweeted that article, and I said, man, it's bleak out here. And I actually got 2 messages asking me to go into depth on why I have a pessimistic take on that. I'm glad that they got their bag. This is not me being bummed at the Deftones. I do not believe that they sold out. They have an amazing career. They've made great work for 20 years, 25 years, whatever their thing is. And I don't know what happened because I don't follow them really. I'm not the biggest fan. I think they're cool. I had the White Pony album. Most of us did. But the last 2 years, they like got TikTok viral and they sold out like arenas. They had a song go number 1. And they cashed in. They are cashing in on the value because their shit became valuable. Their catalogs, for some reason, became valuable. Like, put 20, 30 years on something, and all the TikTok kids now are like, oh, this shit's awesome. When we're all like, yeah, we know. It's real stuff. They're swimming in that AI slop, and they're like, oh, this is like a real album with a real guy with real feelings. So they sold. I think reportedly, I don't know. The details aren't really leaked, but around 80 million. People are saying 40 to 80 million dollars. Not all the guys did it, but I think 4 out of the 5 guys cashed in on the value of their catalog. What I'm upset about is kind of what it means, what the trend means for the music industry, for the middle class of the music industry, for the future of value in art. And I'm going to rant and rave about it. And so I'm going to just get into that on Patreon. So if you're a Patreon member, you're going to be able to hear me talk about that. But for now, let's get into the emails. Okay. Emails. metalupyourpodcastshow@gmail.com. Our first email is from Ben Yeager. Hey, Clint, just finished listening to the Wasting My Hate episode and absolutely love the breakdown. Made my long plane flight so much shorter. Hopefully the guy in the seat next to me didn't mind me jamming along to the riffs. I'm sure he loved it. I mean, it's better than having Stinky McStinkerson next to you, which I have a lot. And maybe I've been Stinky McStinkerson. After a long night of drinking, getting on a plane, no shower. Yeah. I mean, maybe that is me more of the time than not. The first time I ever had a panic attack on a plane, I didn't know what it was. I'd never had a panic attack before. And I've compared notes because I've had panic attacks for a couple of years because I didn't know what they were. And they scared me so much. I haven't had one in a while because once I learned what it was and I learned what triggered them for me, I stopped doing all those things. But I was having them on planes a lot. Because I would be hungover because of, playing shows, staying up late, having to travel the next day. And then I drank all night, so I'm dehydrated. And then I would pound coffee in the morning because that's what you do in the morning. And then, the heat on the plane and then just feeling trapped up there. I found out that those were all my triggers. So now when I fly, no drinking the night before, no caffeine, day of. And I always have a bottle of water. And sometimes I can always feel a panic attack coming. I liken it to like you can see a storm on the horizon and it's coming. And I have staved off many a panic attack by just pouring a bottle of water on my head on a plane. I do not give a fuck. But the first time I had one, I didn't understand what it was. And it scared me so bad. So I started having the symptoms of it. And I think they're named poorly because you're not like panicking the way that you panic if like you come downstairs and your fucking house is on fire. For me, what it was I was feeling hot and overheated, which is one of my triggers. I reached up to adjust the air vent on the plane and I had no motor skills. Like I couldn't move my hands. And that's a horrifying feeling. So then I started feeling like I was going to puke and shit my pants at the same time. Like this huge wave of nausea hit me and I thought I was dying. Because I'd never felt that. My life was like flashing before my eyes. So I managed to somehow, this felt like walking through quicksand. I managed to stand up and I was like, I got to get to the bathroom because I thought I was going to shit my pants. And of course, the poor gal's bringing up the cart, the flight attendant. I somehow get by her. It was like getting through the fucking last Zelda boss. And then I got to the back, and as soon as I went to open the door, I passed out on the plane in that back area where the bathroom are, where there's like where the food and the fucking beverages are. And when I came to, there were flight attendants standing over me, kind of like talking. I'll never forget this. My eyes were closed, but I had come to, and the thing about panic attacks is, at least for me, they're quick. When I've had them and I couldn't do anything about it, I just kept telling myself this is only going to last about 5 minutes, maybe even shorter than that. It's like a storm that comes over you and goes. But in that 5 minutes, you feel like you're going to die. But I was coming out of it, and I heard one of the flight attendants go, "Do you think it's drugs?" And the other one goes, "Oh, for sure. For sure it's drugs." Which I don't do drugs, by the way. I never did, so it wasn't drugs. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about that. Because Ben was on a plane, listening to the podcast on a plane. Okay, as a fan who just loves all things Metallica and not musically trained, I especially appreciate your perspective as you pick up on so many things that I missed. While we're on the Load box set, thought that I'd put a vote for Mama Said as well. Would love to get a similar breakdown of one of my Load favorites. Thanks, Ben Yeager from Cary, North Carolina, New Jersey. Thanks, dude. Definitely going to do Mom and Said. And someone wrote in a couple weeks ago and said they really liked my cover of that on Cover Over Blacken, which I went and listened to it again. I was like, oh, it's pretty good. Francois Fondrouche writes in, hey, Clint, your Nordic friend Francois from Montreal again. Just needed to share with you a fantastic Metallica moment my friend and I experienced in 2009 during their North American leg of the World Magnetic Tour. Me and my good buddy Eric bought 2 tickets for the October 31st legendary Colisée de Quebec City show. On Halloween night, we made the 2.5-hour ride from Montreal to attend night 1 of what would later become known as Quebec Magnetic. Metallica boys were in great shape, having fun with the audience, playing along with monster masks, performing songs that I had never seen live before, such as The Shortest Straw, Bread Fan, All Nightmare Long, Turn the Page, and many more. All of those DVDs that they put out on that tour, the Quebec Magnetic, the Mexico City one, Nemes, played. Those set lists have so many great songs. I think Judas Kiss is in one of them. Disposable Heroes. He says, a fan-pleasing killer set list. Uneffing believable. Eric, who was desperately fighting cystic fibrosis since birth, was not in great shape, but nevertheless soldiered on and partied hard that night, long after the show, he and I walking up and down the beautiful streets of old Quebec. Driving back home the next day, both sporting a fantastic hangover, Eric reminiscing that the boys did not play his favorite song, Wasting My Hate. But I remembered him that they played his second favorite, Holier Than Thou, and how extraordinary this trip had been. I think he means reminded him. Eric passed away 8 years later at the age of 37. This song means so much to me, as for Metallica. Thank you, Clint, for helping bring back sweet memories of my dear friend. Keep doing what you do, man. Peace, Francois. Well, I'm sorry to hear that your buddy's gone, man. And 37 is too young. Man, that is so young. And, you know, I hear a lot of similar stories about how this music brings us all together and helps us grieve and remember the good times. So I'm super stoked that I could be a part of that for you, man. Thank you for writing in. Justine Jackson says, she's writing in about the dude that was rude to me on Christmas Day at the movie theater. She says, yeah, the dude was kind of rude, but I oddly think he was trying to make light of the situation, which failed. My focus would have been to make the guy feel like an ass. I would have clapped back with some sort of ridiculous story like we just buried our family potbelly pig named Popcorn, and we were a little distressed when we bought the tickets, so can you help us out? Just my 2 cents, Justine. Well, I'm going to read the next one. Oh, I thought maybe I don't have the next one. Oh, I do have the next one. I'm going to read the next one from Andrew Mackin, who says, I'd have bitten that guy's dick off and French kissed it to him. Mock my missus, die by my hands. Andrew Mackin, B.A. Hans, PGCE. And that right there encapsulates the polarity of the responses I got about that guy. And honestly, it lines up with the gender too. Most of the ladies like Justine were like, no big deal. Maybe not the best thing to say, but no big deal. And then most of the dudes were kind of like Andrew, and they're like, I want to bite his penis off and then French kiss it to him. Which, wow, what an imagination on you, Andrew. Jesus. I mean, bite his dick off, fine. But then, you know, I usually spit it out after that. But you want to keep it and then French. Okay. Last email from Tim Rasmussen. He says, hope you're doing well, my friend. It's been years now since I've mailed you here. Thank you so much for all the great podcast content you're committed to and still putting out. And I've been very much enjoying all your Load content recently. I love it, Clint. All the Load stuff's so great. Really amazing how much the band have put out on that website, too. Looking forward to Reload next year and your guitar breakdowns of that. Yeah, he's talking about the Overload stuff, which you just got to be a 5th member and you'll get it for free. That stuff's awesome. As a huge Megadeth fan as well as Metallica, I could not agree more with your hilarious comments on Mustaine not being able to land the plane safely. He says, I loved your mariner analogies. Thank you, dude. Sometimes I'll slip into a bit of a maritime, seaworthy thing. Oh, my God. I'll make this quick. We did one of those 23andMe, whatever the thing is where you find your ancestors. My sister gave it to my mom for her birthday where you print out this thing and it's like they pick like your top whatever 20 ancestors, but you can go as far back as you want. You go as far back as it goes. And I went all the way back on my grandmother's side and found a dude in like the 1700s. My great-grandfather, his name was Floyd Scoggins. All right, this is some Alabama shit. Floyd Scoggins. My other grandfather, Greeley Wells. Greeley. Greely. Called him Granddaddy. Floyd Scoggins we called Pawpaw. but we always spelt it P-A-P-A. I go all the way back on the Floyd Scoggins to the 1700s, and I find a dude named Seaborn Scoggins. How cool is that? Seaborn Scott. It's in my blood, dude. That's why the old fucking sea, maritime, fucking throw the anchor down, salt in the air vibe comes out sometimes because I've got a little bit of Seaborn in me. Let's see. Some really bizarre. Oh, he talks about Dave Mustaine. Really bizarre volatility at times. He can be in the middle of a great compliment about someone or a band, and then he has to come up with his own ego or hubris. Such a shame to see and hear so much of it. He's genuinely talented, and sometimes funny. I agree. He really does bring up Metallica constantly, too. I actually found a few great examples yesterday on a recent interview from 2023 at Summer Breeze Fest. Also, he has a bizarre close call with confrontation towards the interviewer despite starting off in a fantastic, pleasant mood. The cover of Ride the Lightning was pointless and would have been interesting if they added a new flavor and take on the song like some of the fan-made Megadeth-style Ride the Lightning videos I've seen in anticipation. That's the thing, too, is like, yeah, the internet's filled with like, what if Ride the Lightning was on Peace Sells? And you've got these talented YouTube content dickheads. They made all that stuff, and they're not professional living legends. That's why my standards are so high for old Mustaine. He says, despite that, I actually really enjoyed the new Megadeth album, but would love to be able to remix the vocals with more effects. And I wish they have added more doubling and layering to the vocals like Euthanasia and Cryptic Writings, which, by the way, it's on the podcast. I'm a fan of Cryptic Writings and Risk. Cryptic Writings is my favorite Megadeth album. He said the vocals on this sound super dry and expose the frailty in his voice. Bizarre production choices made on the new album with his vocals, which brings me to stems. I hope I can find stems for the album one day, play around with it, much like you've done with Saint Anger and 72 Seasons. Where did you get the stems for those two albums, or did you just edit the originals and cut the songs down in length? I did I edited my stems of 72 Seasons and Saint Anger from the mastered recordings and just found edit points, and I had to get creative. I did not use stems. When I do these load breakdowns, I am using stems, but I use a recording software called Logic. And in Logic, there's an AI tool that will split up songs, but it groups the stems. So it won't give me like every drum. It won't give me a snare and a kick and a hat and a room mic. It gives me all the drums on one wave file. It won't split up James's guitar, Kirk's guitar, guitar solo, acoustic guitar. It just gives me all the guitars, etc. It doesn't split up harmony vocals and main vocals. It just gives you the vocal. So I have thought about when I go to, I'm probably going to put the old edit sauce on Death Magnetic and Hardwired, and I thought about doing it with the stems. But honestly, Tim, if you have Logic, you can just do it that way. Email me again if you aren't able to do that, and I can get you the stems for the Megadeth album. Let's see. He lastly says, I'm super curious to hear your edits of Saint Anger and 72 Seasons. If you're still okay giving the link, I'd love to hear them. Hope everything's okay with you in the snowstorms now. Wishing you all the best for your work this year. You still inspire and encourage me every week with your news on touring, recording, and keeping afloat as a professional musician in difficult times. Thank you as always. Much love and respect, dude. Thank you, Tim. Thank you to everyone who wrote in. Metal Up Your Podcast Show at gmail.com. I am going to let us hear from our sponsor, Nuprin. And I'm going to strap on this Explorer over here. We're going to get ready to dive into a little bit of Thorn Within.
I can't talk about it anymore. It's giving me a headache.
Here, take 2 of these.
Ah, Nuprin. Little, yellow, different.
All right, Thorn Within, written by Hetfield, Ulrich, and Hammett. I always get curious who's responsible for what riffs, especially in the Load era, because there's not really that much going on in the riff department. These are kind of the more bluesy, pulpy songs. So it's interesting for me to think about James and Lars pouring through riff tapes for this. Like, what was Kirk's riff? Or was he the main guy? There really aren't other riffs in the song. You got... So anyway, working title was NC-17, which I also don't know why it was called that. Obviously, a lot of these songs are, much of them, written and recorded before there's any lyrical content. There is a cool thing we're going to listen to from the box set called Guilty, and it's James trying out like vocal ideas, and he actually has a lot of it put together, and the lyrics are a little different, and I think revealing. By the way, we're going to get into the lyrics because this song has pretty fascinating lyrics. It's actually a pretty dark and deep song. I don't think it makes a ton of sense, but since when does that? Who cares? Dude, my favorite album in 7th grade was Bush 16 Stone. Go try to make any sense of that. Mickey Mouse has grown up a cow. I don't believe that Elvis is dead. That's how he ends that song. I don't believe that Elvis is dead, yeah. Go read any Red Hot Chili Peppers lyrics. So anyway, we're not going to hold James to a super high standard on that, but the imagery, very dark, and there's like religious imagery of a crown of thorns, the thorn within, and forgive me, Father, for I've sinned, and guilt. He wanted one of the working titles other than NC-17 was called Guilty. And this is one of the ones they've never played live. They've never played it live, and that's a shame and a bummer, especially because at that time it would have been cool to hear them with that specific power that they had then to play that one live. But they didn't. So, all right, as usual, we're going to listen to the Load box set stuff. I've gone through them so that you don't have to. All this stuff is streaming if it's interesting to you. And then, of course, it's fun to get out and play within the box set as well. These are on the Shadowcast CDs. So the first thing we have is titled NC-17 Thorn Within Riff. And this is from the band's collection of undated riff tapes, which is, I want to hear the riff tapes because I feel like you could really piece together, whose riff belongs to who when it comes to James and Kirk. We know that Jason has co-writes on Where the Wild Things Are, which that's such a strange song. I'm looking forward to digging into that one on Reload too. But yeah, I would be curious to hear a release of just the riff tapes. But here's what you're going to hear in this one. This is James talking about the riff. It's that chorus descending riff. And he says something interesting. It's pretty cool that you can hear him working out this idea of he does the riff two very slightly different ways, but it has a pretty big impact. You'll hear him talk about that at the end. So here's NC-17 Thorn Within riff. All right, then they faded out. So he says that there's two descending notes in the riff, and that one, he said, was almost too Sabbathy. So what he's doing, first of all, one thing to note is this must have been sometime in '94 because anytime you hear these undated riff tapes, they're not down half a step. So when he was just playing that just now, it was in G instead of F sharp where it is. I'm down half a step. I'm in the Load tuning. I'm going to be here, but I'm going to show you what he's talking about. So the main riff. He's chromatically walking down. He's hitting that low F sharp, and then he's going. And that's the riff that made the record. But what he's alternatively doing is he's doing C sharp, C, B, but then he's jumping the B flat, and he's going from A to G sharp. So he's going. Which is a little less mean. Versus. I don't know if you can hear that difference. Also, Bobby Anand, patron of the show, he did mention how similar this is to STP's Sex Type thing, which is so true. Which obviously this came out after Core, STP Core, I think is what, 91, 92? that's in the key of E. Which a little trick to that riff. A lot of people do it like this, just the one open string, the low E. That's not what Dean DeLeo does. He's hitting the 7th fret on the A string, which is an E, and he's playing those two notes together, and he hits that same 7th fret on the A string for every one of those walk downs. Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. So I think James did end up going with the more Sabbathy one, which I think was the better one. All right, up next we have the Thorn Within Riff 2. Also from the band's collection of undated riff tapes. Now what's interesting about this is a riff that was never used. Check this out.
All right, we're on.
So that was kind of just a variation of the main riff. Yeah, I mean, what that sounds like to me is he's got the main riff, what would end up being the chorus riff, and then he thought maybe a variation of that riff we can use for the verses, which is pretty cool. That that's what they did on King Nothing. That's what they kind of do on Sabbath True. It's an interesting tool and technique because it's familiar, it catches your ear, you're reinforcing a theme. The best songs reinforce themes, dude. Check out, I always think about this when I think about Jeff Lynne, that song, Don't Bring Me Down. He sings that about 30,000 times on that song. And even the guitar's going, bow, 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 bow. Just everything in that song is funneling all the hooks and melodies into that theme. Now, having said that, they didn't use that riff for the verse because they ended up with which I think was a good move. All right, so moving on. And these tend to have the similar progressions in terms of the timeline of them getting written and fleshed out. They usually start with these riff tapes, which we know how they write these songs. We know. It's documented. Then the boys, by the boys, I mean just James and Lars, make a demo in Lars's basement studio, the dungeon, where James is playing the bass, all the panned guitars, and usually all the solos. And there are usually no lyrics at this point. They are the dummy lyrics. And I got to say, that is a tough thing about listening to these sometimes, is because just hearing him be like, yeah, just sing yeah, yeah, yeah and shit and humming it, it can get kind of hard to listen to other than it the first time when it's like a curiosity. But that's what we have here. This is what's next. NC-17, Thorn Within demo. This was recorded in the dungeon January 26th, 1995. So let's check this out. We'll talk about it. You can already hear that the guitars have the vibe. Very cool part. All right, let's talk about that riff. Let's break that riff down. So we start with James, and he's rocking it. And then I love how this builds like a kind of a 3-act story. You got that first guy. Then Kirk's contributions is he goes, James does that thing. But then Kirk goes, And he lets that sit. He's not even playing the full phrase. We know the full phrase. But Kirk's just going. Then James starts doing it over Kirk, and James is the one finishing the phrase. And one of the things I love about them going kind of Stonesy with the way that they pan in the 90s is when you do those two things together, the phrase that I use in the studio a lot is the guitars are talking to each other. Does that make sense? They're in communication because they're not saying the same thing. And the tone's different. You know, famously, until this era, James would record all the rhythms. And I think he did record, quote unquote, Kirk's rhythm with Kirk's gear. So kind of some of it has Kirk's sound. But really, this is like a homogeny to those records that I love. I mean, that's part of it. Maybe not so much on Kill 'Em All, but I'm thinking more about Puppets, Justice, Black Album. There's a lot of homogeny on the rhythm parts. What I love so much about the Load era is how different and slinky these two parts feel together. Now, I did what I always do. I went and got the stems, and I recorded, this is just me, and I think Lars and Jason. And listen for those interplays in these guitars. You got James on the left, Kirk on the right. Hear Kirk. Now James. But James is finishing the phrase. Listen. Then they come in beautifully. Chorus riff. Oh, went a little too far there. So there you go. Let's go back to the demo here, because the demo's got some other cool stuff in it. All right, into verse 1. He's already got those harmonies intact. Alice in Chains kind of vibe. Yeah. Back into that halftime. Also, this turnaround is doubled. It's twice as long. So you can see these parts of the demo where they started to cut, edit. Big hallmark of this era. That's one thing to listen to right there. Let's just talk about the verse. So James's part. Actually, I believe it's James doing both of these. Okay, so I think they just muted Kirk for that. But the heavy part. I love that. The clean part, I I have kind of mocked up here. Same as I did for Wasting My Hate. I just have the neck pickup and the volume turned down. I love that part. And for the back half, he starts doing these octaves. All right, this is me playing the verse with the band, no vocals. So it's got that kind of flange on it. Listen. And there's none of the heavy guitar. There's the heavy guitar. All right, now you're going to notice the octaves. All right, into the chorus. Very cool. Back to the demo. Verse 2. Interesting stuff coming up with a solo. He's looking for that picking stuff in the right channel. This part's twice as long as well before he goes into the bridge. And no dummy lyrics for the bridge yet. This is the bridge. Check this solo out. The solo is 2.5 times as long as the record. This is normally where it ends, but it keeps going. All right, now it keeps going over the chorus chords. Woo! Get him, James. How about that? Right into verse 3. Choruses are all also a little shorter than the album. All right, so check this out. We got some double kick coming up. This outro gets pretty heavy. The double kick. interesting. That does not end up in the actual recording. Also, this thing, listen to this. Does it remind you of Escape? Live my own way. Is this like the outro to Escape? Life's for my own, live my own way. That's what it makes me think of every time. So there's a demo. That's what they took to Bob Rock. That's what they took to Jason Newkid and Kirk Hamster. And up next, we have the Take 18. This is following the trajectory we usually follow. So this would have been recorded July 27th, 1995. This is 6 months later. They're in the studio with the boys. They're getting everything into shape. This is the 18th time that they played it that day, that fateful day, July 27th. So this is when you sort of hear the personality of the band come through. There's some interesting things that happen in this recording, and we will listen to it together now. See, what I like about these like rehearsal takes is they start to sound real good because Bob Rock does not fuck around. Love Jason and Lars hitting those low kicks together. Ah, shit. Uh-oh. Whoopsie. Looking for that clean stuff. Pretty cool. All right, we're going to go to the solo because the solo is interesting. It's longer than the last version we heard. It's 3 times as long as the record version. And it's all Kirk Hammett giving the solo a try. So let's check this out. Here comes Kirk Hammett's solo. This part's cool. Okay. I think we're getting a sense of maybe why they went back to the old demo solo. Which I think the demo solo is really cool. I think it's got a great vibe. I like it a lot. And They were right to do that. It does sound like James is playing a Strat. In the video I made, the guitar cover I made, I'm playing one of my Strats, but with the EMGs in it to try to get it close to that Stratty thing, but it's also very punchy. All right, next, there's two more here. This one is called the Thorn Within Guilty vocal idea. So I don't know if at one point they also were going to call the song Guilty, but this is where we can kind of hear James wrestling with the themes of the song. And this is exciting to me because he's got the idea now, the idea of the song. Some pretty interesting changes too. You're going to recognize most of it, but there are bits and pieces of it that are kind of strange that I am glad that they evolved. So basically, it's from the same day that they recorded it. I don't know if it's take 18, but the music is from The Floor in July. Very similar to what we just heard, if not the exact one we just heard. Or it might just be the drums we heard with a different pass of the bass or whatever. But not keepable necessarily. And then vocal ideas were added by James in October of 95. So by the fall, whatever's going on with the band, James is probably already worked up all the lyrics, and now he's trying to get all these ideas down. So let's check this out. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to when he starts singing. Here we go.
Forgive me, Father.
They're dry as a bone. But listen, he's already got the harmonies.
Find me guilty of the things I feel within.
He just said things instead of life.
Should you brand me for wild or tame? Should I look down in shame or straight ahead and take all of your blame?
All right, so let's focus on what he changed there. Or, what was different, what he started with. So he just said, should you brand me for wild or tame? Should I look down in shame or straight ahead and take all of your blame? Compare that with what ended up on the record when he says, when I'm branded this mark of shame, should I look down disgraced or straight ahead and take all of your blame? So he obviously, we've seen how he writes, where he'll put all the words up in a column, the potential rhyming schemes, soft rhymes, hard rhymes. And then he likes to put pen to paper and kind of toy with all the concepts. I think what he ended up putting on the record is stronger. And then we'll notice in the chorus, the actual chorus, he says, I'm the secret, I am the sin, I am the guilty, I am the thorn within. This one, he says, I'm the wicked, I'm the one, I am the guilty, I am the guilty for everyone. Check this out.
I am the wicked. I am the one.
Wow.
I am the guilty. I am guilty for everyone.
Interesting, right? Still a twice as long turnaround in between chorus 1 and verse 2. They would cut that in half, which was a good call. All right, we got another Forgive Me, Father.
Forgive me, Father, for I am sin.
He says, am I guilty?
Am I guilty when true guilt is from within?
Instead of find me guilty.
So point your finger, point right at me.
This stayed.
For I'm the shadow that will follow you, one and the same always. I am the wicked. I am the one. I am the guilty.
All right, check this out.
I am guilty as the rising sun.
Guilty as the rising sun. I think we can all agree that those changes were better. That one also has another Kirk, so that's why I think it was from the same day, but maybe a different take, because it's another kind of not great. I think Kirk had I think Kirk would have figured it out, but I think he was having a hard time kind of figuring out how to be. I think what was happening with him, I mean, the dude can write and play solos. The problem was, I think he was having trouble making them unique. You've got a batch of 25 to 30 songs. He's trying to just do something and stretch and find unique stuff. But at some point, someone, it was probably Bob Rock, I bet you, was like, I think James's vibe on the solo was cool. So the next thing that we hear is the NC-17 Thorn Within scratch vocal rough, which, by the way, we already mentioned the solo. Let's just do the solo real quick. Kirk was trying too hard. He's having struggle with it. What James said was fine. Here it is, me and the band solo. All right, and there you go. So the last thing we have is the Thorn Within scratch vocal mix recorded January 17th, 1996. I have notes. You got the normal clean guitar that we've been waiting to hear. Slightly different vocal take, but the lyrics are fine. There's no tuning. It's pretty rough in some parts. And then they've got James's solo back in there. You can go listen to that if you want to at home. But I don't know if we need to listen to that. So, I mean, that's it. That's Thorn Within. A deep cut, but I think a super rewarding song. It has everything that I like about Load, the interplay between the two guitars. It's short and sweet. The very Alice in Chainsy sort of dark harmonies, very inward, esoteric lyrics about himself. I mean, I think he's still writing Halo on Fire later, and he wrote Hell and Back. I think those would be similar things he's dealing with at Thorn Within. But I just think that there's something great about this. Wherever he was aesthetically and poetically, he was listening to a lot of Lou Reed and Tom Waits and Nick Cave. And I think those things were influencing his lyrics. He even talks about around the Black Album era, he was getting into Chris Isaak, and that informed even how he sang The Unforgiven. So a lot of the things that I love about it are in this song, just like the album cover. There's a little bit of blood, a little bit of semen, I hate to say, but there's life in there. It's messy. It's necessary. A little bovine DNA mixed in with it. Smashing between some plexiglass. Call it art, baby. Even if that makes you a sick motherfucker. All right. It is 12:42 a.m. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate you all. Write in metalupyourpodcastshow@gmail.com for extra content. Check out the Patreon. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Be grateful that you got power. And I'll see you on the flip-flop, babies. Peace.
If you were our advisor, what would you say? Then I would say, delete that.